Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive that'll leave you scratching your heads?
You bet.
We're going back to 1969.
Ooh, 1969.
To a series of events that still have folks talking.
Still debating.
Yeah, debating to this day. The Berkshire's UFO sightings.
A story with enough twists and turns to make you question everything you thought you knew about the night sky.
You got that right.
It really hits that sweet spot between small-town charm and otherworldly encounters.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're talking multiple witnesses.
From different walks of life.
Right, all claiming to have seen something truly extraordinary.
And we've got a real mixed bag of sources for this deep dive.
Oh, yeah.
First-hand accounts, news articles, even some internet chatter.
The internet chatter, always fun.
Where people are piecing together their own theories.
Love it.
It's like trying to solve a cosmic jigsaw puzzle, you know?
It is.
But before we get lost in the details,
Right.
let's set the scene.
Okay, so imagine, if you will,
Yeah.
the Berkshires in 1969. It's just a month after the Apollo 11 moon landing,
So the world is already looking to the stars.
with a sense of wonder and possibility.
Absolutely.
Now picture this quiet rural region of Massachusetts.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Rolling hills, close-knit communities,
Small towns.
a place where life moves at a slower pace.
That's where our story begins.
It is.
Now you might be thinking, okay, a few UFO sightings in a small town.
Yeah.
What's the big deal?
Exactly.
Right.
That's where it gets interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
We're not talking about some blurry lights in the distance.
Oh.
These are detailed, vivid accounts from people who claim to have had up-close and personal encounters.
Ooh, okay, now we're talking.
And the consistency across these different accounts is striking.
Yeah.
We've got Tommy Warner,
How old is Tommy?
a 10-year-old boy,
Okay.
Melanie Kirchdorfer,
Okay.
a 14-year-old girl,
Got it.
and the Reed family,
Okay.
a mother, grandmother, and 2 young boys.
So multiple generations.
They're from different towns, they don't know each other,
Oh, okay.
and yet their stories have some uncanny parallels.
Parallels. Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's hear about them. Let's start with Tommy's experience on the night of September 1st, 1969.
Okay.
You've got to picture this. He's hanging out with friends
I know.
when he suddenly feels this overwhelming urge to go home,
Just gotta get home.
like some unseen force is pulling him.
Interesting.
He even hears a voice urging him to leave, which he thinks might be God talking to him.
Wow.
Spooky, right?
A little spooky.
And as he's running home,
Okay.
something truly bizarre happens.
What happens?
Tommy feels like he's sprinting,
Okay.
but to everyone who sees him, he appears to be running in place.
That's strange.
And then poof,
Poof.
he vanishes.
Vanishes.
For a full 7 minutes.
7 minutes? Wow.
7 minutes, that's a long time to just disappear. And where does he reappear?
Where?
Right in his own backyard,
Okay.
pinned to the ground by a beam of light,
Beam of light.
emanating from an oval-shaped object,
Okay.
hovering above him.
Like a classic UFO.
Then silence.
Silence.
Dead silence.
Oh.
No crickets, no wind, nothing. Just this eerie quiet.
This detail about running in place while feeling like he was sprinting,
Yeah.
that suggests something messing with perception, right?
Yeah.
What could cause that kind of sensory distortion?
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things that makes Tommy's story so compelling.
Okay, so we've got Tommy's story.
Right.
Now let's shift gears to Melanie Kirchdorfer's experience that same night.
Okay, Melanie.
She's with her family, enjoying a classic summer evening by the lake,
Summer evening by the lake.
eating ice cream,
Classic.
when suddenly they spot this blinding light
Blinding light.
rising from the water.
Oh, wow.
It's like something straight out of a Spielberg movie.
I could see that.
Her dad,
Yeah.
understandably freaked out,
Understandably.
tries to chase after this thing in their car,
Oh.
but it's like it's playing a game of cat and mouse with them,
Leaving them on.
leading them on a wild goose chase.
A wild goose chase, yeah.
And then things take an even stranger turn.
What happens?
Melanie suddenly finds herself alone on the shore with absolutely no memory of how she got there.
Oh, that's scary.
She's completely disoriented,
Disoriented.
and she has to walk home in the dark by herself.
Whoa.
Can you imagine the fear and confusion she must have felt?
I can't even imagine.
You're with your family one minute,
Yeah.
and the next you're stranded alone
Right.
after seeing something that defies explanation.
That's a common thread in a lot of these close encounter accounts.
Yeah.
Missing time,
Huh?
distorted memories,
Okay.
a sense of being transported or manipulated in some way.
Ooh. That's chilling.
It is.
Okay, now buckle up for the Reed family's story,
Okay.
because this one is a doozy.
Doozy, okay.
They're driving home from a family outing,
Oh,
passing through a covered bridge,
classic New England.
when bam! Their car is bathed in these intense, multicolored lights.
Intense, multicolored lights.
Yeah. The whole family feels like they're being submerged in water,
Submerged.
even though they're in their car on dry land.
That's strange.
It's like their senses are being completely overridden.
Right.
And then, just like that,
Just like that.
they find themselves inside this massive hangar-like structure.
Hangar-like structure. Oh, wow.
Young Tom, who's 10 at the time,
10 years old.
he's placed on a metal table,
Metal table.
and he can hear his mother and brother's voices,
Okay.
but they sound distorted.
Distorted.
Panic.
It's like they've been transported to some otherworldly examination room.
And just as suddenly as it began,
Yeah.
they're back in their car,
Okay.
back on the road.
Okay.
But there's one major detail that's out of place.
What is it?
The grandmother, who never drove,
Never drove.
is now behind the wheel.
Whoa.
They've lost 3 hours of time
3 hours.
with no explanation.
Oh, wow.
And the experience leaves them deeply shaken.
Yeah, I bet.
But here's where it gets even more intriguing.
Okay, tell me more.
Both Tom and his brother
Yeah.
later experience strange markings on their bodies.
Markings. Like what kind of markings?
And both of them end up going bald at a young age despite no family history of hair loss.
Wow.
Could these be lasting effects of their encounter?
Makes you wonder.
It does, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got these 3 separate accounts,
Few counts.
all detailing strange lights,
Mhm.
missing time,
Yep.
and even some potential physical effects.
Right.
Now, you might be wondering,
What am I wondering?
was anyone else seeing this stuff?
Good question.
Were there any other witnesses?
Yeah.
And the answer is a resounding yes.
A resounding yes. Okay. You see Tommy's babysitter,
Debbie Shaw?
Debbie Shaw. Yeah.
Okay.
She actually witnessed him vanish into that beam of light.
She saw it.
She did. She described it as the strangest thing she'd ever seen.
Yeah.
Like something out of a science fiction movie.
Oh, wow.
And get this, the local radio station,
WSBS?
WSBS, yeah, they were bombarded with calls that night
Really?
with people all over the Berkshires reporting similar sightings.
Wow. So it wasn't just a few isolated incidents.
It wasn't. There seemed to be a wave of activity happening across the entire region.
Wow. And what about the schools? I mean, kids love a good spooky story, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Were there any rumors floating around among the students?
The Berkshire's UFO sightings became the talk of the town,
Really?
especially among the school kids.
I bet.
You have to remember, this is 1969.
Yeah.
There's no internet, no social media.
Right.
Word of mouth is everything.
Right.
So these stories spread like wildfire.
Fueled by.
Whispers and speculation.
Okay, so we've got multiple witnesses,
Multiple witnesses.
widespread reports,
Right.
even some potential physical evidence.
Yeah.
You'd think there would be tons of official documentation, right?
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Police reports, news articles, government investigations.
Makes sense.
But here's where the story takes another turn.
Oh.
The lack of official records,
Yeah.
it's one of the most baffling aspects of this whole case.
It is. It's like the evidence just vanished into thin air.
Which, of course, fuels all sorts of conspiracy theories.
Of course. Despite all those calls to the radio station, the tapes from that night are mysteriously missing.
The tapes are missing.
And despite multiple people reporting strange lights and even potential abductions, there were no police reports filed in Great Barrington that night.
So no police reports.
Nobody.
Was there some kind of cover-up?
That's the question.
Or is it more likely that records were simply lost or misplaced over time? I mean, it was 50 years ago.
Could be. That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
The police chief in Sheffield at the time allegedly conducted his own private investigation.
Oh, really?
But there's no official record of it.
So there's no way to know what he found, if anything.
Exactly. It's like everyone who should have been documenting this event just didn't.
Mm.
Or if they did, those records have been lost to time or perhaps intentionally buried.
Intentionally buried. Ooh, that's creepy.
It definitely adds another layer of mystery to the whole affair.
You have to wonder if there's a psychological component at play here as well.
Like what?
It's like the Wizard of Oz effect.
Okay.
People wanting to believe in something magical, something extraordinary.
Right.
So badly that their memories become distorted or embellished over time.
Interesting. That's a great point. We can't discount the power of suggestion.
Especially in a case like this.
Right. The moon landing had just happened.
Yeah.
UFOs were all over popular culture. And suddenly you have these strange events happening in your own backyard.
It makes sense.
It's easy to see how imaginations could run wild.
But then again, you have witnesses like Thomas Reed, who passed a polygraph test about his experience.
Really?
That suggests a certain level of credibility, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Polygraph tests aren't foolproof, but they do indicate a strong belief in the truthfulness of one's account.
So you're saying he believed what he was saying?
At the very least, yeah.
Okay.
And it's not just about believing in UFOs or extraterrestrials.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that there are things in this world that we may not fully understand.
Things that we can't explain.
Things that challenge our current scientific knowledge and our perception of reality.
Okay, so we have the believers.
Believers.
And we have the skeptics.
The skeptics.
So how do we reconcile these conflicting perspectives?
How do we?
The skeptics who believe there must be a rational explanation for everything.
Right.
And the believers who point to the overwhelming strangeness of the Berkshire's events as evidence of something truly extraordinary.
It's a classic debate, and there are valid points on both sides.
Okay, let's break it down. Let's start with the skeptics.
Okay, skeptics often attribute these kinds of sightings to misidentified aircraft, weather phenomena, or even hoaxes.
Or hoaxes, okay.
And they argue that the moon landing, happening just weeks before, may have sparked a wave of mass hysteria.
Okay.
Leading people to see things that weren't really there.
Like a shared delusion.
Exactly. Kind of like how everyone panicked during Orson Welles' War of the Worlds broadcast back in the day.
I can see that. But how do you explain the consistency of the accounts?
Consistency.
And the fact that some witnesses, like the Reed brothers, experienced physical effects after their alleged encounters.
That's where things get tricky.
How so?
You see, the human mind is a powerful thing.
Yeah, okay.
And it can be influenced by a variety of factors.
Such as?
Stress, trauma, even the desire to be part of something bigger than ourselves.
Okay.
Sometimes our brains can fill in the blanks, creating false memories that feel completely real.
False memories that feel real. So you're saying these people weren't actually abducted by aliens?
I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that we have to be open to all possibilities.
Okay.
And we have to consider all the factors at play. Right.
We can't just dismiss people's experiences out of hand.
Okay.
But we also can't jump to conclusions without carefully examining the evidence.
And that's what makes the Berkshire's case so intriguing, right? It forces us to confront the limits of our knowledge.
To ask tough questions.
And to consider the possibility that there might be more to the universe than we currently understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the events, the witnesses, the lack of evidence.
Right.
And the different perspectives on this case.
The different perspectives.
But what about the impact on the people involved?
What about it?
I mean, imagine being Tommy Warner, a young boy ostracized by his classmates for speaking out about what he saw.
Or the Reed family, who actually ended up moving away from the Berkshires because of all the unwanted attention and disbelief they faced.
It's a reminder that sharing extraordinary experiences can sometimes come at a cost.
It is.
People can be quick to judge, to dismiss, or even to ridicule.
To ridicule those who claim to have seen something outside the realm of ordinary experience.
It's like there's a stigma attached to believing in UFOs.
Yeah.
Like you're automatically labeled as a cooker or conspiracy theorist.
It's unfortunate because it discourages people from coming forward with their stories.
It does.
Even if they genuinely believe they've experienced something extraordinary.
It creates a culture of silence.
Which makes it even harder to get to the truth of what's really going on.
But it's not all negative, right?
Oh.
There has been some local recognition of the Berkshire's events.
Really? Like what?
The Great Barrington Historical Society, despite the lack of official records, they formally recognized the Reed family's account as a historically significant UFO sighting.
Wow, okay.
And there was even a privately funded monument erected at Sheffield Bridge commemorating the events of that night.
What happened to it?
It was later removed.
Okay.
But it's a testament to the fact that at least some people believe something truly extraordinary happened in the Berkshires back in 1969.
It's interesting how this one small town in Massachusetts became a focal point for such a huge mystery.
Isn't it? And it's even more interesting to think about how the Berkshire's case fits into the larger conversation about UFOs.
And UAPs?
UAPs, which is what the government is calling them now.
Unidentified aerial phenomena.
It's a way to take the subject more seriously.
Easy.
To move away from the little green men stereotype.
Okay.
And acknowledge that there are things in our skies that we can't explain.
So it's a rebranding.
In a way, yeah. And that shift in tone, that willingness to acknowledge the unknown is a big deal.
I agree.
We're seeing it in the recent congressional hearings on UAPs, the release of previously classified footage, and even the establishment of new research initiatives dedicated to studying these phenomena.
It's a sign that the conversation is finally starting to change.
It is.
That we're moving beyond simple dismissal and into a realm of genuine inquiry.
Speaking of inquiry, have you heard of Avi Loeb?
Avi Loeb.
Yeah.
Tell me about him.
He's a Harvard professor who's been making waves in the scientific community.
Really?
With his research on interstellar objects.
Interesting.
He leads the Galileo Project, which is all about investigating potential alien technology.
Wow, so he's really out there.
He even led an expedition to recover remnants of a 2014 fireball that landed in the Pacific Ocean.
Really?
He's basically saying,
What's he saying?
Hey, what if this isn't just space junk? What if it's something else entirely?
So he's not afraid to entertain the possibility of alien technology.
Loeb's work is incredibly important.
Why?
Because it challenges us to think outside the box.
To consider possibilities that might seem far-fetched,
but are nonetheless worth exploring.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Even if they make some people uncomfortable.
It's like he's saying, hey,
right.
We shouldn't rule out aliens just because we haven't found them yet.
Right.
What if we've been looking in the wrong places?
Or with the wrong tools.
And that's a powerful message because it opens up a whole new realm of possibilities.
That does.
Okay, so we've got these incredible stories from the Berkshires.
Yeah.
A lack of official evidence.
Right.
A growing scientific and governmental interest in UFOs and UAPs.
Oh.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is.
And it raises so many questions.
So many questions.
What does this all mean?
What does it mean?
Where do we go from here? It feels like we've gone down a real rabbit hole here.
We have.
From small-town America to government secrets.
Yep.
From missing time to Harvard scientists looking for alien tech.
It's a lot.
It's a wild ride.
It is.
And yet, after decades of debate and investigation,
yeah,
the Berkshire's case remains unsolved.
Unsolved.
We have these compelling accounts, these strange occurrences, and yet no definitive answers.
It's true.
So what do we make of it all?
That is the question.
Do we chalk it up to overactive imagination? Misidentified objects?
Could be.
A case of mass hysteria fueled by the space race?
Possibly.
Or do we entertain the possibility that something truly extraordinary happened in the Berkshires that night?
I think that's the beauty of it.
What do you mean?
The Berkshire's case.
Yeah.
Like many UFO cases, it isn't about finding concrete proof.
It's not.
It's about grappling with the unknown.
Okay.
About pushing the boundaries of our understanding.
I like that.
It's a choose-your-own-adventure for the mind.
And that's what keeps people coming back to it, right?
I think so.
That what-if factor.
Yeah, what if?
What if those witnesses really did encounter something beyond our comprehension?
Right.
What if there's more to our reality than we can currently perceive?
It's fascinating to compare the Berkshire sightings with other famous UFO cases, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Like the Barney and Betty Hill abduction back in '61.
Okay.
Also in New England.
New England seems to be a hot spot for this.
It does, doesn't it? Or the Ariel school incident in Zimbabwe.
What happened there?
Where dozens of school children claim to have seen a UFO land near their playground.
Oh, wow.
It's like there's this global tapestry of unexplained events.
A tapestry, I like that.
These threads of mystery woven throughout history and across cultures.
It's true.
And now with the government finally taking UAP seriously.
Yeah.
Releasing those declassified videos.
Right.
Holding public hearings. The whole conversation has shifted.
It has, hasn't it? It's no longer taboo to talk about UFOs.
Nope.
It's a legitimate topic of discussion in scientific circles,
right,
in government halls,
yep,
even in mainstream media.
Absolutely.
But even with all this newfound attention,
yeah,
the Berkshire's case still holds a special place in UFO lore.
I think so.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most compelling mysteries are the ones that remain unanswered.
And perhaps that's the lesson here.
What is?
It's not about finding all the answers.
Okay.
It's about embracing the questions.
It's embracing the questions.
It's about acknowledging that there's still so much we don't know about our universe and our place within it.
So let's bring this back to you.
Okay.
If you were in the Berkshires that night,
back in '69,
witnessing those strange lights, hearing those incredible stories,
what would you have believed?
Would you have sided with the skeptics?
The skeptics?
Searching for a rational explanation,
Right.
clinging to the familiar?
Push-
Or would you have been drawn to the possibility of something extraordinary? Something that challenges our understanding of the universe and our place within it?
It's a question worth pondering,
It is.
because whether you believe in UFOs or not,
Right.
the Berkshire's case forces us to confront the limits of our knowledge.
And the power of human experience.
It reminds us that sometimes the most important truths are the ones we can't fully explain.
And that, in a way, is the magic of a good mystery.
The magic of a good mystery.
It leaves us with more questions than answers.
More questions.
But it also sparks our curiosity and ignites our imagination.
It does.
So keep looking up.
Keep looking up.
Keep asking questions.
Asking questions.
And who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe one day the truth about the Berkshire's UFOs will be revealed.
Maybe.
But until then,
The mystery endures.